Hello, everybody. This is M again, CEO of the Soul Focus Group and Super Coach, talking about fear. I know that the average person life is inundated, flooded by fear. The media promotes it. Every time you turn your television on, you go onto social media, you're seeing so much fear being promoted, and you don't even know that it's fear that you're looking at. But the reality is you're looking at it and not knowing it because it's unconscious, it's subconscious. Most of our fear is subconscious. Most of our fear is habitual. And that means that we have neural pathways in our brain that have already been carved out that are habitual in picturing us losing and imagining us getting the opposite of what we want. So in a world of endless possibilities, we keep recreating the same possibility. It's not by accident that we keep reproducing the things that we don't want. And some of us have become very good at producing the opposite of what we want on a daily basis. You know, in your relationships, you keep attracting the same person, the same kind of person, and you keep bringing yourself to the same kind of outcome in the relationship at the same point, the same time. Why? Because you have carved out in your brain neural pathways whereby that are built upon a belief that you're going to fail no matter what you do. And you are so invested into that perception of yourself, into that possibility, that not knowing what power really is. And let's talk about power for a second. I want to simplify your understanding of power. And I want you to consider that power is nothing more than energy. Energy. Power is energy. You say, well, that's kind of vague, my D. No, it's not. Whatever you put your energy into, you put your power into. I want you to get that. Power drives everything. Energy drives everything. Everything in this life is driven by energy. It's driven by power. So the thing is, us not understanding ourselves, and we keep seeing habitually ourselves losing, ourselves being rejected, ourselves being, abandoned, ourselves being, our true selves not being liked by others. We keep envisioning that, and what we end up doing is we keep putting our energy into that. We put our energy into that perception. We think about it, we worry about it, we obsess about it, we give ourselves anxiety about it. Because why? Because we are putting our energy into that picture. Now, what happens when we put a certain amount of energy into that picture? After it reaches a certain amount, it develops. Not just in your head, it manifests as a reality outside, because that's what our subconscious mind does. Our subconscious mind takes in that energy from our focus, that we are focusing on that perception without even being conscious of it. We worry so much on a daily basis that we don't even perceive that our worrying is creating something. Think about that for a minute, y'all. That's deep. Your worrying is creating something. It's creating the exact images that you see in your mind. Your worrying is investing your energy into the development of what you see in your worrying. You say, well, my D, what do we do from it? What we have to do? Well, we have to shift this. We have to shift our perception. We have to interrupt those perceptions, those habitual perceptions of ourselves losing. But to do that, we need to understand more about fear. We need to more understand and begin to see fear in a different light. We need a new perspective, a new understanding of fear. One that returns the power of creation back to us in the way that we create what it is what we desire to experience versus creating what we don't want to experience. So I say to people this all the time. Fear, in the way that we understand it, our perception of us losing before we've even given it a try, is our imagination operating in reverse. Fear is our imagination operating in reverse. In other words, instead of it being used, fear is the result of our imagination working in reverse. So as long as our imagination is working in reverse, we're going to continue to have fear. We're going to continue to perceive ourselves losing before we've even tried. We're going to continue to see ourselves being turned down before we even arrived for the interview. So now what we have to do is reverse engineer the problem. We have developed a habit of imagining ourselves on the short end of the stick, and we need to interrupt that habit. You can't do that if all you're doing is reporting on the problem. Let me say this again. You cannot solve this problem by continuously just reporting on the problem. So I don't want to continually report on the problem, because some of us, make our money off of reporting on the problem, but we don't actually give solutions for solving the problem. Now, I know that you need to understand what the problem is thoroughly in order to begin to solve for the problem. But what I'm saying is that there are a lot of people who are so habitually addicted to reporting on the problem that the idea of entertaining a solution threatens them, because they see the solution as an end to their being, significant, or their being important in the world. So some people just want you to stay on the problem and not solve the problem. Now, I want you to think about this. Yesterday, there was a mass shooting in Buffalo, New York, where 10 people were murdered by a young white person who, without question, was driven by fear, but will not acknowledge that fear is what drove him there. The idea of perceiving that somehow the existence of black people threatens the existence of white people, when that's always been the dynamics here in this country. Imagine the level of fear that this person had been walking in on a daily basis, perceiving that every black person he saw in some way threatened his reality. So he continuously sees this, and pours energy into it, putting his power into it till he brought it to life. Now, I want you to get this. There are so many people walking around with perceptions of them not getting what they want, not having the life they want, them being turned down, them being rejected. And they see that potential pain coming, and they start responding to the pain as if it is real right now, when it's all here. Listen, people, if we don't do something to address these issues that lead to mental illness, because to be honest with you, now most of us will not say this, but if we're walking around imagining ourselves losing, imagining ourselves being rejected, imagining ourselves being put down, and that is the state in which we're operating in, we are demonstrating a degree of mental illness. And that's nothing to be ashamed of. What it means is something to alter, something to shift, something to change, something to fix. Not you, something to fix about the way you're using your imagination. There's nothing wrong with you, but there's something wrong with the way you're using your imagination. So that imagination muscle must be retrained. If we are going to reverse this, we have to then train ourselves. We have to start intentionally imagining ourselves having what we want, and then putting energy into it, putting power into it, putting focus into it through a span of time, in order to begin to start developing the picture, not just in our mind, but manifesting it into a reality. Nothing manifests into a reality in this world without energy. Energy is what produces everything. And energy is what? Power. Power is energy. Energy is power. Everything you put your energy in, you're putting your power in. You have not been putting your power into the things that work for you. You've been putting your power into things that don't work for you. It's up to you. You can shift this. And I want to show you how. I'm M, Super Coach and CEO of the Soul Focus Group. And I love you. Peace.